Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today we've got Kate Hore Lacy on the show. Kate, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Good to be here.
It's great to have you here, and I know it's very early on your side of the pond over there. It's 8:30 your time, 4:30 p.m. my time, and you said you're based in Sydney?
I am in Sydney, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful sunny day here, even though it's winter, so happy days.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day here too. So I still have some sunlight to enjoy while you're getting to start your day. That still blows my mind when I talk to people on the other side of the world, that you're starting your day and I'm winding mine down.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'd usually be doing yoga right now, but instead I get the honor of talking to you today. So
hey, at least this isn't the one that you're going to jump on where you have to be up at 2:15 in the morning. That's going to be some dedication.
That's going to be really challenging, and I've got to be all camera ready because it's going to be on YouTube. But yeah,
you got to do what you got to do.
Got to do what you got to do.
But it's great to have you here. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick? What's your elevator pitch when people ask, what do you do?
Well, it changes a bit each time, but basically I help non-sales people get better at sales. So I work with passionate, smart entrepreneurs who are really good at what they do. They're very gifted, but they struggle with sales, or they think that they actually hate sales. But in actual fact, they just really haven't had any good sales training and hand-holding to implement it. So I help them with that, and it's all kind of win-win, feel-good sales, and they start to enroll more clients, do more of what they came here to do, and it empowers them to to have a better business life and stop struggling.
That's really powerful. I love what you said there, because I've talked to so many entrepreneurs, and I've struggled with it too. Oh, I hate sales. It feels slimy. A lot of it's a mental block that we just think of the car salesman and that we don't want to be like that. But we have to sell. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to sell yourself, your product, your service. If you're a startup, you got to sell it to VCs. So is that normally what you see when you're communicating with clients for the first time, is they just don't believe that they can do it?
Yeah, it is. It's really a mental block. I think really what is actually happening is a lot of the time we make it more about ourselves.
Yes.
It's like, how do we feel about the sales conversation? And I think what's going on internally a lot of the time is, especially for a service provider, we're so passionate about what we do. We really want to help people. We don't want to kind of sell to them. We just want them to say yes. And unfortunately, it's just not really how it works. So what's going on when we don't want to sell a lot of the time, or when people don't want to sell, is they're worried about being salesy. They're worried about the person judging them, and they're also worried about rejection, because it's not just rejecting the product that they're selling. It kind of feels more personal, like they're rejecting them. So I think the first thing is, you really have to, if that sounds like you, if you're listening, really we have to get over ourselves at some point. And we have to start making it all about them. And I've got to say, Chris, this is what happened to me, because I sold really quite successfully when I was pretty young, before I became a professional singer. But yeah, I was apparently one of Australia's best recruitment agents, and I found it so really. But when I started my own business, a lot of my sales went out the window, because that's what was happening to me. I really did what I thought everyone should just get this, and they'd have to almost beat me over the head to say, so Kate, how do we work together? They'd have to pretty much, ask me. And what changed for me is I let someone walk away who I knew exactly how to help. And I had a really sinking feeling that she was going to go broke without my help. I knew 100% I'd let her down. After she gave me one little objection about money, and I let her walk, and I thought, no, that is it. I've got to get over myself here. And so I retrained myself, also upskilled in a lot of areas, because sales has changed a little bit. I've never once compromised my integrity the whole time I've been selling, but there are so many wonderful client attraction strategies, messaging strategies, where you're pretty much selling them a lot before they even get on the call with you. So it's so much easier now in a lot of ways if you put all the pieces of the puzzle together correctly, and if the person you're speaking with really is one of your ideal clients, which you should have built your whole sales process around.
Right.
The whole process, should be a lot easier now. But I think for anyone who's got sales resistance, it's really, we have to get the attention off ourselves. We have to put it all on them, which also means we become a better listener, and you can read their energy and really see what's going on. And yeah, then it's just a matter of getting them to a nice, clear, empowered yes or no. That's your only job.
I love what you said there about how things have changed over time. And at this point, when someone books a call with you, they don't just book the call. They've seen enough content. They've almost gotten to know you in a way before they even talk to you for the first time, which is incredible because now we can create the content around what we think they need to hear, what we know, the problems that they're looking to solve. We have the solutions to. And I also love how powerful that example is that helped you shift from that, where you let someone walk away who you knew needed your help because you were afraid of the sales process. So really, when you shift it to, I need to help this person, it's almost your duty to sell them on that thing because you know you can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just to see if it's really right for them. I mean,
right.
If you come at it like from that perspective, just really see if this is really right for them. If they've really got a problem that you can help them solve, right? And this is the right time for them to do it because maybe they've been beating their head against the wall, not getting any results. And you know that's the right fit. And then it's a matter of teasing out those objections, which are really just their own qualms and their fears, making it a really safe place for them to open up and talk about those things. And I think it's actually a really good idea to literally tease them out, bring them up. So to say, look, hey, you might be feeling this at this point, or at this point, some people are wondering about the finances. How is the investment sitting with you? If you can do those things, make it a safe place for them to talk about, what they might be fearing, talk that through, and then just open the way for them to say yes to themselves and yes to you. That is your job well done,
Yeah. And so a good sales process from what you're saying, it's really just asking a lot of questions and making sure they talk themselves into understanding if it's a good fit or not, because you truly are trying to find out, is this going to be a good fit? Because you don't want to try to just sell them for the sake of selling them. You want them to benefit from it.
Exactly. And yes, and with that content that you were talking about and really getting clear on your ideal client, talking to people's problems, so that by the time they speak to you, they really should be one of your ideal clients. And then hopefully you've built your whole product or service around them. So it's going to be a really great fit. And then it's a matter of, sitting down with them, you set up the sales call. So an authority, I guess. Then you ask a lot of great questions, empower objections, and then close.
So powerful. So what would you say is the first step for someone in this process, maybe who they don't even really know who their ideal client is? I mean, can you walk us through the steps from a high level?
Sure, yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs especially really struggle with finding their ideal client. More than that, actually, I think we struggle with choosing our ideal client, because entrepreneurs, we're kind of quite big thinkers, a lot of us. We can see how we can help so many people. And we're like, don't pigeonhole me, man. I want to
help everyone.
I want to help everybody. I can really help everyone. You don't understand, Kate. I'm different. And I get that because, again, I have experienced that myself. And I have worked with so many different companies and from all around the world, everything from bigger companies to smaller companies. But the thing is, you do really have to niche down, because in today's world, especially since COVID, it's all online now. Most of us can work with people from right around the world. And personally, I've got clients in Germany and Middle East, and of course, New Zealand, Australia, and tons of them in US and the UK. Yeah, so we can really work with everybody. And there are literally billions of people in the world. So when you try and speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And the thing is about today, our attention spans are so very short that the minute that you're not speaking directly to that person's urgent wants and pain points, they're going to click off.
Right.
If they don't know you that well, and you've even got 2 or 3 demographics, and you just start talking about something that doesn't relate to them and they don't know you, they're going to bounce. So that's why it's really important now that you really intimately know who you're speaking with, especially in your content, especially in your sales messaging, so that your sales conversations become really much easier. So if people are struggling with that, I usually just say a good place to start is just to write down all the groups, all the demographics you can serve. Circle the ones you've got easiest access to. You might be in a couple of massive groups that you're really active in that have got a lot of that type of entrepreneur or that type of person. And then just kind of highlight the ones that you get the best results for. And then just choose that. Just choose it. Choose that person, go for it, and know that you can kind of date your ideal client. You don't have to marry them.
I love that idea, the dating versus the marrying your client, to get to know them.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I think we've got resistance to. We're like, oh, so how long do I have to work with this one person, do this one demographic? But know that you can kind of date them. So when I first started out, I worked with mainly spiritual entrepreneurs. That was good. I mean, I'm kind of a spiritual entrepreneur myself, even though I don't sound like it, but, purpose driven, all that kind of thing. But I whittled that down to kind of more driven, good people who want to do great things, but who struggle with sales. So it's good to know that you don't have to stick with one specific demographic. You can morph, you can change that, and you can get more specific as you go along. And then, of course, once you make, your first 6 figures, you can kind of start with another niche if you want and another offer. It doesn't have to be forever. So that sometimes helps people get over that fear of niching down too.
I love that. And you can always rebrand yourself or change direction. I just talked to someone yesterday and they said the same thing. They were doing makeup artistry and they had a great business. They're doing well. They're fully booked, helping doing, makeup for weddings and things like that, photography sessions. And she wants to go the life coach route. I almost said life couch. I was like, no, that's very different than life coach. And so she's rebranding and changed her Instagram profile name. And she's going to start to take on new clients because she knew that while she enjoyed it and she did well at that thing, it didn't truly call to her like this other thing is doing. So she may get some clients that she previously worked with if there's any overlap, but she may also have to dive into a different demographic or find, date that ideal client and get a good idea for who she wants to work with.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we've got to be unafraid to listen to our heart when we kind of want to make a change. I mean, that was pretty challenging for me too, because after my sales career, I was a professional singer for 10 years, did some great stuff. It was so awesome, so much fun. But towards the end, I was feeling unfulfilled. And I knew I had to make a change. And it's quite difficult to kind of do a 360 or a 180 and do something very different.
Right.
But yeah, you've got to have the strength and courage to do that if you really know that there's a new calling for you to explore. And of course, it's not easy always. That's the thing. It's not about giving up if it feels too hard, because let's face it, a lot of the time business is hard. And especially that first year or two when you're working out what you're doing, and especially if you're doing all the tech and stuff yourself. So it's not about, just giving up and trying something else if it's hard. But if your heart's calling you to do something more, yeah, I think it's important to follow that and date your new career if that's what life's calling you to do.
That's very helpful, just to understand that you don't have to commit to a certain type of client and that you can't have everybody as your client. Otherwise you advertise to nobody. So that would I kind of lumped that under the same step. First step would be choose your ideal client, do some dating around, throw something out there, have an offer, see if it works. What would you say like the next step in that process would look like once you have an idea of who your ideal client is? Is it the messaging or the offer or how you align the service to what they need?
So the next step would really be delving into that ideal client and working out what are they struggling with right now? What's keeping them up at night? What do you think you can really help move the needle on? And you want to start listing down as many things as you possibly can. Then you want to look at what they urgently want. And I mean like urgently want, not kind of, peace and happiness, that kind of thing. More pragmatic things. People, if you ask yourself, would someone drop $1,000 with you right this second if you could get them that result? It's a good indication that thing is an urgent And that's usually things like a better relationship, better communication, better leadership, more money, more clients. Weight loss is another huge one, better health, more vitality. So all of those kind of things are urgent wants depending on who your ideal client is. So you want to list out all of those as well. And then it's a matter of, if you've got like a great budget, you can start doing some advertising. For a lot of people, they may not have that budget, and Facebook advertising can be really tricky when you're brand new and you don't know your messaging that well. So I wouldn't always suggest that. But ideally, it's really great if you can start doing some video or content around giving them some help around those specific points. So, talking to them, I mean, a great format is just simply saying, are you struggling with this? Then you give them a tip, some help around that, and then tell them why that's going to really help them and how that's going to move the needle, and then just sign off, right? So super simple, doesn't have to be hard. I know when I first started doing video, as well as having a hell of a lot of resistance around it, I really overthought all the technology. I wasted couple of grand getting wrong stuff and made it all very complicated. Really now all you have to do is get your smartphone and shoot. That's pretty much, a lot of the tech you'd need. A lot of us have got Mac, you can edit on iMovie. Just keep it really simple. The most important thing is to start. And if you haven't done video, expect to suck is what I would say. As well, because I even though as I said, I really had resistance around putting my stuff out there, I thought for some reason I should be good at video, because you
did singing and everything professionally.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, this is, how hard can this be? I can string 2 words together. I'm just going to string a few more words than that. But anyway, Chris, I would love to tell you that my first 5-minute video took me about 2.5 days.
Right.
It was that bad. So if, I do love to tell people that, because some people, like me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is obviously not my strength. I shouldn't be doing this. There's no flow in this. This is so hard. I really suck. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, the more you overthink it, the longer it's going to take. But really, if you can just flow with it, I would say, try and do a bit of meditation, get yourself in a really good state. That's really going to help you. And then just practice it a few times. Don't try and do too much too soon. Try and do just a 1-minute video. Plus, they actually work better at the moment. Like a 30-second to 1-minute video on most platforms is really the way to go. But if you have found you've done a couple of videos and you really don't like yourself on camera and so on, don't worry about it. You definitely get better. It helps you with your communication, which really, really helps you with your sales. It is so, so worthwhile, just sticking with, because after between 3 and 7 months of doing regular video, you'll start getting the warmest clients of your life. And I've attracted a billionaire client with a billionaire, $1 billion company just from video. I've attracted clients who have signed up to work with me without even asking me how much what I offer is, which is amazing. But they just watch you for that amount of time. But when it's time for them to work with someone, it's just you're their first choice. So they just get it done. So it makes the sales process so much easier. So you can do other sorts of content if you really do loathe video, but I think the things that we resist is often where the gold is. So if you resist video like me, that's probably where your next business breakthrough is. So I'd encourage you to do that. So that would be the next step along the journey if doing great content. Then obviously you want to have a great call to action, a nice clear call to action, about every kind of 3 to 5 videos. If you're doing LinkedIn, which I do love LinkedIn, you want to put that in the comments. Otherwise you kill the algorithm.
Yep.
Yeah, then you kind of get on the phone with them, or you invite them to a masterclass ideally, because again, the more people can spend time with you, either through your content, through your videos, a masterclass can be really great because they're seeing more of you. You're sharing more of how you do what you do. And I think they've discovered that it takes around 7 hours, spending about 7 hours of FaceTime with people through videos or reading their content, watching their content, for people to say yes. That's if it's a fairly high ticket item. But yeah, the more FaceTime you can get with people, the better. That can be really good. You can also, of course, go to networking events, pick up your clients that way.
Right.
Yeah, it depends on, the person and the individual, what most suits them, what sales funnel is most going to work for them, what's working well at the moment. If there's something that people are out there already doing, it's great just to double down on that. What would life look like if you were going to networking meetings and you doubled that this week and maybe for the next month or the next 8 weeks? Really that should kind of double your sales. Look at your kind of close rate. Where are you falling down in your sales conversation? If you got better at that little piece where you're falling down after you've analyzed it, and you got 20% better at that bit, again, your sales should go up by 20%. So yeah, being really conscious of what's working, being really conscious and analyzing your sales conversations can be really good, which means basically being super present while you're there, really present with the person. But afterwards, just do a little bit of ask yourself, how did that go? What bits felt really good? What felt like I really had them? Did I lose them at any point? At what point did I lose them? Did I feel shaky? Did I feel awkward at any point? For a lot of people, they oftentimes feel awkward around answering objections or that closing question. So a really simple tip I like to give people, if again that's you, if you feel awkward around, a lot of especially service providers, they can sometimes have a really great call with people, get to that closing question, and then they're like, so you wouldn't want to,
right.
yeah,
And they're scared to say the price, or they don't handle the objections very well. That's so true. We enjoy talking about, and I provide a lot of services with real estate, for example. We enjoy talking. We have a great conversation, but then that moment comes. So, hey, are we going to work together? Because we got to sign some documents. If so, people do struggle with that.
You said that so easily and elegantly and with a smile on your face. I mean, that's how you do it, people.
That's how you do it. Yeah.
That is, I mean, he's got such a nice energy about him, which really does help his sales. The way he said that, right? You'd be like, yeah, sure, let's just go and do that, because his energy was so good.
Thank you.
That's what you want with your own energy when you're asking for that kind of awkward thing, whatever that is, signing contracts or telling them the price or whatever it is. And you probably know what that is yourself. So you'll probably have that in your mind. So what I would suggest to you is just to say that phrase over and over, just 10, 15 times, practice it, and really just practice it with a nice open. See, if I say, so say, like I was like, asking them to sign the contracts, and I was like, so we've probably got to get some contracts signed now, and you close your voice down, and it sounds the energy kind of drops, and you sound unsure. And of course, we've got these mirror neurons in our brains, and then if you sound unsure, they're going to feel unsure because of these mirror neurons things. So 82% of people actually remember you not they don't remember what you say. They remember you by how you say it. So energy is so, so important. So you want to just say, so we really need to get some contracts signed. So let's go and do that now. Nice open throat, like don't close down your throat. Say it with a nice smile on your face, and just say it 10, 15 times. Even record yourself on your smartphone. How does that sound to you? Does that sound like does it sound friendly? Does it sound easy? Does it sound like a really nice flowy question? If it's not, just practice a little bit more. But if you can do that before your sales conversations, and ideally, after this interview, that's even really going to help you. Just small tweaks like that can actually really make your sales rate go up, because if you just struggle with that closing question, you practice the hell out of that, so it just sounds like ABCs. It flows off your tongue, and you can say it with a beautiful smile on your face. All of a sudden, your whole sales process might work a lot better, or your sales conversations might close at a lot higher rate.
And it's just like what you said about the videos. We're going to suck at first. It's going to take some practice, but as we do it more, as we have more successful clients and sales calls, and it becomes easier to ask that question. I mean, I don't even struggle with it now when I'm talking to someone. And also what you said earlier, when they reach out to you, they already kind of sold themselves because they've already consumed 7+ hours of your content, most likely. Podcasts, YouTube videos, all those things help that whenever I'm talking to them, they already want to work with me. They just want to like make sure that I actually know what I'm talking about. And if you do a great job on the presentation, it's not even a question of, do you want to work with me? It's like, are you ready to get started? Yes or no. Either they're ready or they're not. And that's when the transition just gets a lot smoother from there on out.
So true. And the thing is too, it's funny, like some of the videos that I thought weren't that good or weren't that valuable did really well. So, you know, sometimes we might think we're completely sucky, but it's actually not bad. And even that first video I put out, which I put out to a group I was in at the time, like a mastermind of about 100 ladies, everyone was like, oh my God, Kate, you're such a natural on video. That was so good. I'm like, oh my God, do you know how hard that was? That was so, you know, trust me on this, I am not a natural on video. That was super hard, etc. So yeah, it's funny, like, yeah, we're often our worst critics, but trust me on this, I was really sucky before I put out that video eventually. But yeah, again, we've got to get over ourselves. If we can help people, just give them a helpful little tip. Let them know that, you know, they're struggling. Here's something that might help, and then out. And it might find them at that right time. That's another thing I love about video, you know, when people just say, oh, thank you so much for that. I just so needed to hear that today. Sometimes through providence or whatever it is, your content finds people who really need it just at that time when it is really going to help them. So by getting over yourself, putting your message out, putting more of what you do out into the world, you're really affecting more lives, as well as attracting more of the people who really resonate with you specifically. Because let's face it, there are probably thousands of people in every industry that do what we do, but there's only one Chris Bello, you know.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and if you resonate with Chris and his energy, then you know that's who you want to buy a house from. Yeah, so the more you can get out there, put your energy out there, you're going to attract your people who really just want to work with you.
I love that. Have you heard of that blog post? I believe it is 1,000 True Fans. I think it's something like that.
Yes.
So basically, for those listening who haven't heard of that, it basically just says that you just need 1,000 true fans to have a successful business or product or lifestyle. You don't need to fish to the whole world. You just need the right clients and a handful of them that want to work with you and that are, you know, certain clients that are maybe recurring or come back or send you referrals. And we all think that we need to sell 1 million products across the world to become successful, when really you could have a handful of clients that lead to a thriving business.
That's right. And you start to find out too that the things that, you know, make you quirky, that you're like, oh, that's going to be weird and odd, and maybe I shouldn't talk about that. Even those things are going to help you find your peeps. You know, like we've all got our best friends and, you know, just our little crew that we just, you know, love, and they love us for who we are. It's a bit like that with your ideal clients. They kind of really like your special brand of awesome or your special brand of weird, you know, so you can afford to be really authentic and really yourself, but do be aware that you are there like to help people. You know, one thing I will say is what I really personally don't like is when people do these meandering videos where they take a lot of time. They're like, hey guys, so, you know, I'm just, you know, it's a beautiful day in Sydney today, and, you know, I'm just here with my dog, and, you know, I'm like, no,
get
friend.
to the point.
Get to the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Like add the value. The person came to your video to learn whatever the title says. You got to get to the point and start delivering on it.
Yeah, like I am more impatient than most people, I must say. But I personally, I hate wasting people's time. It's like
Right.
so, you know, I want to get in, give them value, and get out as soon as possible. And I think that's why my videos did do quite well to start with. And another couple little points is if you can speak a little bit faster than you usually would, because again, most of the time, people when they're watching your first videos, they may not know you that well. Once they really know you, they will kind of be more patient with you and spend more time for you to get to the point. They'll watch your longer videos, all that kind of thing. But try and practice it so you're kind of a little bit snappier and talk about that problem or that urgent want right off the bat rather than something that's unrelated, because you want to hook them in right from the get-go. Because again, people today, we still have the attention span of goldfish, actually probably less I hear now. And unless you hook them straight away, they will bounce. Speak a little bit faster than usual and get to the point quicker. Now, that is more with especially LinkedIn, and that's again why I love LinkedIn, because it's quite a utilitarian kind of platform in that there are more valuable tips that are always going to help move the needle. Whereas things like, you know, Facebook and Instagram, they can talk about dogs, and I do love dogs. And I love animal videos and stuff like that, like everybody. But for me personally, I know my people and I want to help them where they are today. So, you know, it's not the time to talk about my dog or anything. So look at the platform. You know, I think for everybody, though, the quicker you can get to the point, you're going to be a bit more successful. Don't be afraid to practice your video 5 or 10 times and then just shoot 5 or 10 takes even. That should only take you for a minute video. That'll only take you 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, or spend a couple of hours or a day when you're getting started. It doesn't matter. It is worth it. Do be aware that you're still there to be authentic, be yourself, but be aware of who you're speaking to. Again, you're putting all your attention on your ideal client. I like to imagine one of my best friends behind the lens, and I'll talk to her directly about, like I'm talking to a real person. That can be really helpful. And be aware that they're investing their time with you. So you want to give them a payoff for that. You want to be respectful of people's time is what I would say.
I like that tip for acting like you have a friend behind the camera, because sometimes when you're looking at your phone or even a webcam, it can be easy to just think that you're talking to the computer and it doesn't feel genuine and you don't have that warmth in your voice. But if you act like you're talking to your best friend, you'd be more excited about something. And even a tip for sales that I remember hearing is, if you've ever sold a movie that you really love to your friends, it doesn't even feel like sales. How was that experience? You told everybody to go watch it. They have to go watch it. It's worth watching 3 times. If you can have that energy when you're talking to the camera, or you're making that advertisement for Facebook or for YouTube, or even to put on LinkedIn, I understand how that can really impact people more positively, because they feel like they're being spoken to, appreciated, they're getting the value. I wrote that down here too, 30 seconds to 1 minute videos. I would have thought, gosh, that's really short. I usually do 5 to 10 minute live videos, but I'm going to start sprinkling in more short and punchy videos, because I can see that we have the attention of a goldfish, or even less. People want you to get to the point.
Yeah, I mean, so you're so well known, Chris. People will invest more time with you, because they probably heard your podcast and they're like, I love Chris. I want more from Chris. And I also have, people who are just like, I want more time, and then they can jump on a masterclass or whatever, what have you. But for people starting out, definitely 30 seconds to 1 minute is great, because it's less of a buy-in. It's still a sale. If you get them to click on your video, that's a sale. That means the message that you've put on top of it has grabbed them, right? Mm-hmm. Then if they play your video, it's a sale. So if they see they're going to get like a little aha in 30 seconds or a minute, that is less investment to them than if it's like a 15, 20 minute, they've never heard of you before, and they might be like, nah, I kind of want to know, but not that much. So that's why. And I love what you said about, when we're selling, if we've got a movie we've just seen and we're like, oh my God, it was so great, and we're excited and we're happy, we don't even think about it. That's so true. And I will say, So again, energy is so important across the board, but especially in video and in sales. And so I think it is good to amp it up a little bit, because I've tested both. Like I went and shot a whole lot of videos at 6 a.m. because it was a beautiful morning and the sea was really still. I love to go and shoot by the ocean where I am. And I'm like, I feel really zen today, and I feel really relaxed, and I'm just going to shoot my videos like this and see what it sounds like, and shot the videos, and I'm like, okay. And then I amped up the volume, and I amped up the energy, and I shot some like that to see what was better. And oh my gosh, the Zen videos they were kind of a bit boring, even though I felt Zen.
You love that, yeah. But for the sales process, people wanted the energy and the excitement. I think of Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels, where he's like, hey guys, it's Russell Brunson. He's talking super fast. He's kind of slurring through his words, but that's what people love. And you just feel like, wow, I got to listen to this person, right?
Yeah, energy is so important.
It's contagious.
And even if you feel a bit weird, amping your energy up and doing it so much higher and loud, you use your voice a little bit more and you modulate and, excitement, and you feel a bit weird. I always get people to do it so they feel weird, because even though it feels weird to you, you watch back yourself on video from when you did a low energy one to a high energy one and ask yourself, or you'll see very clearly what is more entertaining. Because the fact is, video is still, as much as it is informative and all the rest of it, it's still got to be a little bit entertaining. And that's a part of the secret. So energy, speed it up a little bit, modulate your voice. And then like a benefit from behind that is, after I really amped it up, I felt so amped for the rest of the day. So I had a beautiful Zen feeling on the inside, but I felt so alive and awake. And, I was just really on. And I think, of course, Tony Robbins does this kind of thing before he gets on stage. He's like, yeah, and he beats his
the clapping and
gets himself
hypes himself up.
Yeah, peak performance state. And so it's good for you, but it's really also good for the watcher. Amp up the energy. Big smile on your face, and speak as if you're speaking to a friend, so it's warm. Modulate your voice a bit. Don't be afraid to use highs of your voice and the lows of your voice, and you can speak softly and also really loudly as well, which I won't do now because I'll probably peak the microphone. But use all of that and have some fun with it. Again, and if you don't have fun with it to start with, don't worry. I didn't either. It did feel like pulling teeth, honestly. Some days I was like, I've got nothing interesting to say today, no value to add. But you sit there, as long as you commit to it
and show up. Showing up's better than not showing up, even if you're not sure what to say. Yeah.
And you will always find something. It's amazing. When you're committed, every time I thought, oh God, I've got to write out 7, videos today, and nothing. I've got nothing. I've said everything, because I hate reiterating. I hate going over the same content. It's always got to be kind of new. But every time I do that, and I still do that, sometimes feel, empty of things to say, you sit down, you do the work, and it comes. It's like magic. It's quite amazing. So don't let that stop you. Stick to your commitment, get it done.
One great tip that I heard recently as well for when you're running out of content ideas, just to ask your followers on whatever platform that you use, even on Instagram stories, what kind of content should I make next? What do you guys want to hear? And people will reply. They'll DM you and say, hey, more content around this, or productivity or mindset, or let's talk more about sales, or what do I do when I have them on the sales call? And you can start to write those things down. Or if you go to a Facebook group that has those type of people that you want to serve, look at which questions are being asked the most, and then start to create content around there. That's just another tip for the audience on when you're not sure what to create, people are asking questions, you can create the content with the answers.
Brilliant tips, Chris.
So I just wanted to add that too, because I'm like, you're sprinkling so much value. And I'm like, oh, I gotta compete. I gotta add some my audience is gonna think I don't know anything on this topic.
No, so much. Oh my God, you're like such a successful entrepreneur, and that's such a great tip. And I should probably do that myself. I always feel like I've got to get everything out of my own head and come up with brand new stuff. But,
Right.
it's so good to remember we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I love
we
that.
can ask, we can ask our audience, what do you guys want to hear more of? What are you struggling with right now? And as you said, it's such a great tip to go and look at those groups and see what people are asking questions about. I mean, great. I'm going to do that myself, Chris. So you help me.
One other tip too is Quora. If you've ever heard of Quora, Quora.com, that's a question-based platform, and you can look up questions that are popular and what were the best answers. And that way you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of us feel like we have to have original content. And it's also another mind block almost that we have to break through, that we can create more videos on the same topics, maybe just with a little bit of a different angle, a little bit of a different spin, or go into more depth on one part of it. Because I have the same issue. Like, I've already talked about this before. Why are we doing it again? Well, no, this has a little bit of a different application. Let's still dive into it.
Yeah, I still struggle with that. I really do, because I pick up stuff quite quickly myself. And once someone said it, I'm like, I heard that, I know that.
Got it.
So again, it's my impatience, which is not a great trait. But we have to remember, and I heard someone say this on another podcast, because I do love podcasts, and she said that people need to hear things more than once. They need to hear them sometimes 5, 6, 7 times before they really drop in and they're going to take action. And I know that for myself too. Actually, you know what? I have heard a number of podcasts, actually this neuroscience guy, and I could tell that he felt like he was repeating himself because he was doing all this speaking at the time. And I thought, oh, don't feel bad that you're repeating yourself. I like hearing your story about how you skateboarded with your crew and stuff. And I could see that, read that in his energy. He was like, oh God,
I'm saying this again.
Yeah. And so that was really helpful for me too, because I often feel that. So we have to remember that, that people need to hear things more than once to implement. So we're actually helping them out if we do say a similar thing in a slightly different way. And that if people like you and they like your energy, they're not going to really care that much if they hear it again. And look, the other thing is sometimes, gosh, from videos I did a year and a half ago, I can't remember what I did last week, let alone a year and a half ago. So, we probably should get over that, Chris. Yes, we'll do our best.
And just the more content we put out there, it's the library and documentation of our journey, which is, I find it very interesting to go back and watch an old video or see an archive of an old story that I posted 2, 3, 4 years ago on social media. And I'll listen to it. I'm like, gosh, I was so monotone. I'm literally updating my story like, hey guys, this is what we're doing today. And we're going to Thailand and we're going to go snorkeling. It doesn't sound as exciting as now, where I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited to go snorkeling today. And we're going to do this. And I'm going to see turtles. I sound different. I've actually become a better speaker from doing hundreds of videos and podcasts and interviews. And so that's another tip for everyone in the audience is don't be afraid to release that terrible content, because it's really exciting to see the projection and the trajectory, I guess is the word that I like to use, on how fast that we actually grow in hindsight when we're looking back at those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth getting through that sucky stage because of all the massive benefits. And of course, when you're really sales is about being a great communicator. And it really does help you to intimately know your clients, because you've done so many videos too on their urgent wants and pain points and so on. You can make the best programs. Your messaging is going to get so tight as well. So the benefits, almost limitless. It's worthwhile sucking for a bit. It's worthwhile thinking, this is hard. This feels, it's going to feel like kind of relentless. It's kind of like, how long do I have to do this for? And you'll come up against all of that, but it's worth pushing through. It's absolutely kind of magic. Yeah. And
people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And if you notice any of the big entrepreneurs that many of us follow or are familiar with, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Dan Locke, all these social media personalities, they all post content with them in it. It's not just a little meme or picture that they can outsource. People want to see you. They want to hear your voice, your story, understand what you've overcome. And so injecting your personality and bits of your story, even if they're repetitive, that's your story. That's your life. You can repeat those things because those are what have made you who you are. And so that's just a little bit of encouragement for everyone listening as well, who's struggling to put themselves out there.
Yeah. And also, if you are a real introvert and you think, look, I'd like to kind of do video, but it's really not me, and I'm not that great a communicator, I love to tell people that, in fact, Warren Buffett was exactly like that. At 19, he was a quirky, nerdy guy who had a ton of really great ideas, but he really struggled with putting himself out there and communicating. So he used to get so nervous that even if he had to speak in a small group of just, 3 to 5 people, he'd actually throw up.
Wow.
Yeah. So he knew that was a real something he had to either overcome, and there's a choice, and this is with everybody. If we've got a block around something we're not good at, and we know this. So he had a choice to either just give someone else the ideas and let them be the front person, let them, bring someone else in, and he could just give the ideas and, do that, or overcome it himself. Because let's face it, when they're your ideas, they always are better coming from the original source. So he applied himself. He did a course over about a year, apparently. And after that, he became a good communicator. And now, of course, he can speak in front of rooms of thousands of people. And of course, he's probably he's one of the richest entrepreneurs. And I think he's given about 33 billion to charity now. So he's also one of the biggest benefactors in the world. I think his wife made him do it, apparently. But regardless, just imagine if he hadn't overcome that resistance, that block, that fear of communication, that nervousness about putting himself out there. I must say myself too, my first video, when I first posted it, my hand was shaking. That's how much I was scared of actually putting it out there. I've got all these fears around, I guess I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. I also grew up in a girls' school. So, there's a lot of kind of bitchiness. And in Australia too, we've got this tall poppy syndrome where it's like, who are you to be, doing this and that? And, so for whatever reason, I really had a lot of fear around it as well. So if that's you, again, it's absolutely fine. But do just apply yourself. What's the worst that can happen? Actually, you know what? I still haven't been trolled yet. They say that if you haven't been trolled, you're not big enough. So eventually, I kind of look forward to getting trolled.
I've been trolled a few times.
So if that's the worst that can happen, it means you're probably big enough that people control you. But yeah, the amount of good you do for the amount of people that may not like what you do, it really far outweighs it. So so apply yourself, lean into the resistance. Even if you're an introvert, you can do it.
So many great tips. I wrote down recovering perfectionists. I still have friends who are perfectionists and they just can't get themselves to create content, put their face out there. They're still resharing other people's static posts that people don't really care about or engage with because anyone can just copy and paste that or take a screenshot and post it on their personal Instagram page. So the stuff that really takes time is getting comfortable with not being perfect and actually just going through the motions over and over again. But to cover some of the points that we talked about today, I know we said some of the steps, and I took a whole page of notes already. I can show my screen if you could see it, all of these notes that I've been jotting down as we've been talking. And so we talked about choosing our ideal client, then diving deep into that ideal client once we have a good idea, advertising and creating video content around that. If we have a budget, we can advertise. If not, even organic content works. And then a clear call to action every 3 to 5 videos, or at least dropping them in the comments of the LinkedIn post so that it doesn't hurt the engagement. If you put the link in the post itself, it doesn't get as much engagement because they want to keep you on the platform, of course. So lots of great things. Did we miss anything? Is there anything you think we need to add to that list for our listeners?
Well, there's a whole piece on, of course, the actual conversation, how to set that up, how to ask really great questions and, objections. There's lots of great stuff to talk about. And today we talked a lot about, about content and, resistance. And, there's hopefully lots of good things that are going to help people with where they're at. But yeah, for those, I do love to talk to those perfectionists out there, like your mates who are doing putting other pieces of content out, or the people that just love putting quotes out. Mm-hmm. I love to say that in my life, especially, it's the areas that I'm most resisting, where I'm like, I really should do that, or I kind of want to do that, but I really don't want to do that. they're those areas where if you just apply yourself and you say, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 months, I'm going to suck this up and just do it for 3 or 6 months and really apply myself, that's where your breakthrough lies. And one of the best things about being an entrepreneur, and one of the hardest things, is overcoming these fears, these bits of resistance that we have in ourselves, getting over ourselves, getting over our perfectionism, sucking for a while, being in the mud going, look, I'm, really don't know what I'm doing here. You work it out. And all of that, it ends up being probably the best self-help program you could have ever gone on. You end up being more of yourself. You set yourself free from these fears, from kind of pushing down all this resistance, and you become more of kind of who you're meant to be. So if you've got resistance around something, celebrate it. Know that that's probably the key to your next best step. Apply yourself. Don't be afraid to suck, and then enjoy the benefits.
I love that. So many great tips here. In what you said, they're running towards the things that we are afraid of. That's where we see the breakthroughs to get to the next level, because that overcoming those little challenges that we face, those are the weaknesses that we have. So if we can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I like that phrase of just doing those things that scare you, cold showers or skydiving or taking a trip solo, that's where you start to get more comfortable. And as you realize, hey, this isn't that bad, traveling solo in Germany, you're going to Oktoberfest, things like that, you start to realize that it's not as scary as I thought. And what else can I overcome? So you just grow. It's the best self-help, self-development journey you can go on, like you mentioned.
Yeah, totally agree.
I love it. So Kate, where can our audience go to learn more about you, to connect with you, to learn more about sales, or maybe even working with you?
Sure. So I've got a boot camp about to start up, which is just such a brilliant program. The investment's great. It's a fairly small group. So come to one of my masterclasses if you're interested in that. It's by invitation only. But yeah, it's just one of the best programs for getting, get someone holding your hand as you develop a sales process that is tailored and made for you and helping you with video, all of that kind of thing. To find out about that, you can go to my website. There's also these 3 easy closing questions, which are really great to practice and help clients actually close themselves. You can download that. On social media, I'm pretty much just mainly on LinkedIn. So you can find me on that, friend me. I've got all my little kind of tip videos that should also help you. And yeah, you feel free to shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm there quite often, well, basically every day, apart from weekends. I don't work on weekends. But yeah, reach out. I'd love to have a chat.
Awesome. So I will put all that in the show notes, your website link, as well as the link to your LinkedIn profile. And everyone listening, if you'd like to learn more about Kate or reach out or join the masterclass, be sure to go check it out. Kate, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your time over there in Sydney, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Chris. So great to be with you today. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. Hey everyone, Chris Bello here. Just wanted to thank you real quick for listening to the show, whether you're listening on podcast or YouTube or wherever it is that you may be listening. I wanted to make that quick offer about real estate help. I am in the real estate business. That is my main business, and how I make all my income and my living by helping others buy, sell, rent, or invest in real estate across the nation. If you have any questions at all, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. Again, that is chrisbello.com/real estate. I'd love to see if I can help you out in my markets. And maybe if you're in a market outside of the ones that I'm focusing on right now, I'd love to connect you with a real estate professional who can help fulfill whatever needs or services that you are requiring. So again, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. A great thing is when I connect you with a vetted professional, if I'm not able to help you myself, is whenever a transaction closes, I'm actually able to get a referral commission. So that can be a great way of thanking me for my content. It helps to support the show, and it helps me to continue to spend time bringing on amazing guests, doing these great interviews, spending a lot of time on creating content, and making sure that I can bring you the very best information that you need to grow professionally, emotionally, intelligently, and in every single area. We're all working on getting better at everything. And so my focus and expertise is in real estate. I'd love to be the one to help you again. If you're not interested in that, no worries at all. Please continue to listen to the show. Make sure you leave a review. It helps so much in getting new followers and sharing the message. And thank you once again for being a listener. I'll catch you on the next episode.